Thank you, Chair. I don't like trying to aim at the mic, so I've asked for my hands to be freed. I think a lesson that I've learned now is the fact that we should have these reports before the conversations, because the room looks quite empty versus this morning. So hopefully the people that really has a vested interest in the bigger businesses here to also share the conversation with us and also just follow what we're doing. And I think what I want to try to achieve with my report today is also to maybe, can I call it a call to arms, a call to support from the industry. I'll show you today that the potato industry is under pressure. You all know that by now. I think all the agricultural industries with the inputs from foreign sources are under pressure, but there are a few significant things that you need to understand and to notice. So last year and every year, I take you through a brief overview of what the potato industry looks like. I'm not going to spend much time with this because I think it's a very complicated structure to understand. The most important thing for us to understand is that Potato South Africa, and this is Potato South Africa non-profit company, that is the service provider, basically stands as a contracted service provider to the Potato Industry Development Trust, of which Dion is one of the trustees, and then Dr. Ben Pieterse and Nokanya, as mentioned, are basically the custodians of those funds. So Potato South Africa non-profit company is responsible for all the activities that has been committed in terms of the business plan. Hein will give you some feedback. We are at the end of our 4-year cycle. We are starting a new 4-year cycle now from the 1st of July, that we get our statutory levy in, and then we've got a specific prescription in terms of which we spend the money to get the stimulation of the industry as per Dion's presentation that he did. I think that a very important thing is also to understand in which control environment we operate. So under Department of Agriculture, the NMC Act, as Dion has mentioned, there's Potato Industry Development Trust, and then Potato South Africa non-profit company is also governed by Potato South Africa Voluntary, which is basically the farming community. But the farming community and the rest of the industry get together under the auspices of the Potato Industry Development Trust through the Potato Industry Forum, and that is where Dion is the representative. The controlling environment that we're currently looking for, it's seed certification, potato certification services, which makes sure that we've got good quality seed material. Unfortunately, but Andre, you here. Where's Andre? Also left. He's been here this morning. So potato certification services make sure our quality of potato seed is important. I'll show you through the breakdown of what the value chain looks like in the potato industry, where the responsibility in terms of good quality seed also comes out on. Then Procon, which is basically the custodians of the measurements within the packaging and transportation. They're quite instrumental in terms of supporting our farmers as well, and understanding the legislation and staying within the regulation. And although there's a specific regulation, it also comes back to the profitability of business. A specific type of packaging with a specific requirement has got a positive and negative if you don't measure up in terms of the balance of those numbers. So it's very important for us to also have that control institution in it as well. And then we've got APAC, the Agricultural Products Agents Council, Representative Francois Knowles. They are keeping the market agents honest. But not only in that, I think it's a support mechanism to also make sure that collaboratively the market agency gets supported with the standardized approach in terms of things being handled, and also covering themselves in terms of rogue dealers or somebody that comes into the industry that might be damaging to that. So protecting one of our key resources, there's where the price formulation mostly happens at the market agent level. If that goes wrong, a lot of the business goes wrong. And then Potato Laboratory Services is the support services that we have that basically do all the analysis and those type of things to have a reference in terms of where we are for certification of potatoes and also analysis of other possible pests and diseases. I presented you with this slide last year as well to tell you what our plans were in the potato industry, and what we also want to try to do is to just confirm with you where we are down the line in terms of these activities. So outcome-driven, cost-efficient business, content-rich information, Business intelligence, predictive modeling, that is something that I'll talk to you about just a little bit further. Technology-driven information interaction, precision farming support, especially satellite technology and proactive to external influences. I think our awareness of what's happening in terms of international environment and also imports and exports has also increased recently, and I would also thank Jaco, who has contributed to our new model that also brought those type of insight to the table as well for us. The Potato South Africa Board of Directors has been reviewed at the Congress last year. So there's quite a number of new faces from last year that we had. We've got Gert Bester, our chairperson. Gert, you want to maybe just quickly show yourself? He's my sole custodian and protector at the moment. Thank you for that, Gert. And we've got Andre Kutsia, that's also part of the research committee for quite some time. Hannes Becker is new on the team. Jannie Besson has also been with us now for a year. Isak Cronje has been with us for quite a few years. Mike Green has been with us for a few years. Johan Holsthausen. We've got MC Venter that's new. Dese, although young looking, also been with us for quite some time. And then we've got Meshach Ngogeni and Walter Matidi as our new transformation directors as well. Brilliant guys, brilliant contribution. I think we are sitting with fantastic business people in terms of taking our future along with us as well. Gerard Postumus also being with us for some time. Nicholas Lourens and Mzimazi Jalisa Mzi. He's the youngest member to the team, but I think full of energy, as you can see through the smile as well. So this is a team of custodians that we've got taking care of the potato industry for this year. So as Dionys mentioned, our responsibility lies with using specific core functionalities to be able to stimulate the economy and the business itself. So where do we do it? We do it with market development. That's specifically advertising, marketing, market analysis, and those type of pieces of information. I'll come back to that a little bit because that's also one of the biggest call to arms that we're looking for from, let's call it the trading area to retail, to start really backing us and really supporting us specifically in terms of our generic advertisements and getting to the consumer. Then industry information. Who doesn't have the new Potato South Africa app yet? Raise your hand. It's a lie. Okay, who has the new Potato South Africa app? Okay, that's more truthful. Please, people. Google Play Store. Okay, App Store. Potato South Africa's application is on there. Get onto that and get to understand what's happening on a daily basis in this major industry and amazing industry of ours. That's not only the only function that we've got in the information side. FPA can take you through a massive number of points that we're going to take. I'll show you what our interactions look like. We are very excited to be able to physically digitize the agricultural industry, the potato industry for you, and actually bring business intelligence into your business itself. Then the research and development will stand still a little bit on the projects that's been happening there. There's been major developments on the research and development side in terms of the productivity of our potato producers. And I think I also want to commend the members of the research committee that also participated in that, and then everybody else that has contributed to that. I think our collaborating partnerships are increasing on a daily basis to actually bring us to a point where we know that our industry, from a production point of view, is very sustainable. Admin, we are allowed to use 10%. I don't know why we only use 6.4%, Dine, but we'll get to that side. But yes, I think in terms of our technological enhancements, we have actually done quite a lot on managing the administration. And I also want to say I'm challenging all the other trust administrators to show us what their admin portion is in terms of the administration. We'll see where they get. And then transformation, last but not least. The past year, we found ourselves headlined in quite a number of areas for the work that has been done on the transformation side. And we're looking to enhance that business model and to actually really grow it. We've got potato farmers that are becoming commercial farmers from ground level upwards that haven't been producing potatoes ever in their life, and that we're very proud of. And I think that is basically, the answer that you would want to be looking for in that process. So I'm going to take you just through some of the major headlines on the different core businesses. But I think one of the more important things I wanted to show you is the amount of our budget that we have managed to spend on projects in terms of what we plan to. And I want to take you to the 2020-21 cycle, where you know what the COVID impact was. And there was a challenge by our board of directors to bring us back in line in terms of the total funding spent on projects, because project spent equals growth of the business itself. And I'm really glad to say that I think we might end up with an overspend this year, right? On the percentage aimed at. So in the longer run, we've managed to, I think a good deal for us would have been to stay above 80%. We're quite glad to say that in terms of this physical project spent and results, we've achieved quite a significant number. And just to show you what type of money we've managed to spend this past year on projects, I think we need to be clear. If you look at where we started off on 16 million, we've basically doubled the project spent over the period of time. And again, thanks to our collaboration partners and our support on that. So we're starting with marketing as one of our core businesses. Our market model was basically in our strategy to attract, retain and grow the market, to basically inform, educate and inspire consumers, and then also to stay with a specific theme in terms of always fresh, always in season and goodness from the earth. Very, very, very important. Okay? None of the potatoes that you would buy on any market floor at the moment would have been stored in any type of storage facility for more than, can I say, more than a week. Okay. This is the amazing uniqueness of South Africa. No other country in the world has got the same type of thing. And this is what creates probably one of the biggest internal battles as well. Because our farmers produce a certain amount of potatoes. There's a market system that needs to take away the product, needs to get it to the consumer side. If we mismatch that, there's major tragedies. We have had a few incidents last year, and you'll probably see where the price basically fell apart, and that is when there was over-delivery to the market. So this is probably one of our major things that we need to do. We want to move closer to the consumer. We need to understand what consumer demand looks like. We don't have enough insight in that. And that is always also the reason why calling on retailers, calling on pre-packers, calling on facilitators of product directly to consumer to also join us in this effort to get closer to the consumers. Okay, so this is basically just the specific KPIs for the industry, but I think important, we basically had a total of 10 core projects under the 6 main categories that we're looking for. What we are aiming at for this year going forward, under Jaco's supervision, is basically to create new marketing content and channels. I think we've got enough recipes by now, by having 150 odd, something like that. So we are looking at changing that model a bit. And then also, and this is what I've mentioned, opening the communication channel up to the point of the consumer. Okay, that's where the conversation needs to start, getting more inclusion from the rest of the industry as well. And then a small nice thing that we are moving towards is to get a brand ambassador for the potato industry, which you will see happening within the next few months. Okay. On the research side, the principles of research basically was initially aimed at this 3 factors. We are looking at enhancing that, but basically factors determining potential yield, limiting factors and yield reduction factors. Okay, and this is the total number of projects that are currently either busy running or in process on our research side of business. Guys, if you just look at the sheer numbers of the activities and you look at the specific projects that are happening, we'll share these slides with you as well, but I think this is something to be significantly proud of in the industry. Okay, so then what we've done is workshops and training sessions, specifically on irrigation the past year, we've done quite well. And then further workshops and training sessions, specifically we had quite a number of tuber moth issues and tutor information. So that is also the process that we're running. So we don't only do the research, we do the dissemination of the research into understandable practical functions, and then we take it, distribute it through the farming community for people to start adopt to the new model. This is the footprint of the projects that we've done. I wanted to use that box to show where it is, but Henri said the buttons is better, so I'm taking her cue on this one. But just to give you an idea of where the research projects were, where the cultivar projects are, and where the monitoring functions also been happening in this space. So all over South Africa, in our 16 major growing regions, we've got projects up and running to monitor and to show what's happening in terms of our production, and also to show major risk, but also bring out the, let's call it, specific development in terms of understanding the capabilities of certain cultivars. We've got quite a number of new cultivars that has been introduced. That's very exciting, and I think that will also create a good pipeline for us going forward. Then, this is what we want to go for in terms of the research side of things. And this also takes us to the point that Dion made to get more collaborative support from that. So in 1973, we started with 25 kilograms of potatoes per person, and only 600,000 tons of potatoes produced. Currently, we're standing at 2.6 million tons of potatoes on 51,000 hectares at 51 tons a hectare. And then small margin. And this will also be determined by the, let's call it, the demand side of things and the necessity to create good quality, good value food. We're looking at increasing the per capita use of potatoes, increasing the volumes, the hectares, and the total production as well. And that will take us to 3.2 million tons of potatoes in South Africa. We might still be short in terms of feeding the nation, given the growth requirements that there are. The reality of the situation is that challenge is up there. What we also need to understand what the limitations for the potato producers are and what support we need from the larger industry. Okay, so then information, communication, this is where, okay, so who's got the app now? Goodness, okay, all right. I'm trying my best. Okay, so there's the a central database that we've created to get in all information from a lot of the role players. There's now some of the names of the role players that are not here yet, that we have connected with ideas for us to get one view of what's happening in the potato market from various sources so that we can make better decisioning. And then from there on, moving it into a business intelligence system and bringing it out to our daily reports on your cell phone that you can see what's happening on a daily basis, but also giving you a weekly summary and also some type of view in terms of where we are point in time. To just create the right type of perspective for everybody to know what quantities of potatoes are available, what qualities we can expect, whether the price reference is correct or not, and what needs to be done to be able to do corrective action. Specifically, for our producers, in terms of taking product to the market, it's very important for them to know what the volumes look like, what the movement look like, and we're also working with our friends in the logistics business to see if we can get some, I'm looking at you, Jack, to get some insight into some predictive modeling and movement of product over specific distances. So that's what we've been able to do. So we've created the new app. We're linking in FreshLink as along with the rest of the data information that we've got with Freshmark systems. We're going to build budgets, models within the system itself. And then we've already started with the daily sheets. This is what it looks like. If you want to, you can subscribe to that. Just make sure that FBA gets the note on who's looking for that. That is typically what the morning report looks like, and that's what the afternoon reports look like. You'll get a good overview of what's happening on a daily basis in the business itself. And then transformation. The 4 legs of transformation: enterprise development, small grower development, farm-based training, and tertiary skills. Currently, we're running with 17 Limpopo farmers, 2 KZN farmers, and then we've got 1 each in the other provinces. The Limpopo work that we've done has created such a CV for us that we're actually building a demand into the rest of the provinces as well. Well done to Nomvula and Rachichi and Rindani and Rotondo and the team for what you've been able to achieve, and also with the teams that was running with you. Then transformation also does, so the same training information that we developed on the research side gets converted into training material and also goes into our transformation farmers and small grower farmers to teach them specifically from ground level how to operate a farm. And then this list, in my view, is much too short. I think we should at least quadruple the number of names on this list. This is only participants now in terms of the development work that we have. But I think in the bigger picture, and I'll take you there now, we've got a good opportunity of increasing the support and also the collaboration partners within the potato industry. Okay. The value creation that we have been able to do on 21 farmers in the project, more than 300 hectares planted, more than 10,000 jobs created, and more than 90 million rand worth of revenue that has been generated. Small grower development projects, take you quickly through that. That is to teach communities how to produce potatoes and for them to actually use it for own consumption as well. This is becoming another flagship model with a lot of contribution. I think food security in certain communities is actually being changed by these models that we have been introducing. There's just 2 samples of projects that we had. That is Limpopo. That one is Kopo. Yeah, okay, and then a big invitation from us, 15 February next year, Transformation Symposium coming up again. You all know about the Research Symposium. I'm not going to market that again because I think our subscription is quite high on that, but remember about the Research Symposium as well. And then I think the last point on the transformation side, which actually results directly under the PRDT, is the bursary functions that we have to actually create knowledge and to support knowledge through the industry. Make sure that we have academics that understands the industry and that will be able to represent the industry going forward as well. Communication, we showed you the branding last year already. I was already proud about that, but I think to a large extent, just the way that we are conveying messages, how we're going to the market and those type of things, the results are quite visible. But I think on the communication side, Andre, you guys, you've got a large portfolio now because you're also now the custodian of all our information for that matter on the statutory side. And yeah, that's me. It's still working. I think I killed it. Okay. Okay, so what we are looking for, I think in terms of exhibition events, presentations, e-platforms, correspondence and branding, you are seeing us because you're here. So we are quite happy with the results as we go ahead, but I think we can also announce that. Okay, the highlights that we had this past year, previous year, it was the Potato Industry Forum, this one again this year. Then we had the Forum and Congress. If you haven't seen it, guys, please Google it. There's a lot of material on that. And I think it was quite a successful event as well. We had over 300 participants in that space as well. So I think we're touching lives on that. The Chips magazine is ongoing, information sharing, and then the Farmer of the Year was probably also one of the bigger highlights on the seed grower side and on the commercial side as well. And we'll definitely work towards enhancing those models as well. Okay. On our regional services, we introduced that last year. So we've got 5 regional coordinators in 4 geographical areas serving 16 regions, implemented from June, July last year, providing technical support and ground level to the farmers, gathering information, coordinating the projects. They have also now been introduced into the trials and those type of things, so they're physically supporting that space as well. They're getting the message back between our producers and their office. I think we've lost some of it over time, and I think we've gained it back quite fast. Seasonal coordination of information, and then increasing our footprint in the potato industry. So that's just to show you where they are based, where they are working towards. It took a lot of balancing numbers to actually get to a point where we can get them at the centralized position and moving them into the right space to cover the right type of areas without creating an expensive footprint. On our risk side, financial, I think you'll see some of the slides I'm going to show you just now. I'm taking a little bit long, Chair. Apologies for that. The Russian war impact, you're going to see what's happened now on the direct cost on the farmer side there. Dumping of frozen French fries remains an issue. And I know there's a lot of propaganda happening in terms of the consumer side of things. If you'll remind me, we can stand a little bit still on that issue. Access to export opportunities, we are gaining a lot of knowledge and information, and I think we've managed to open up a few transactions recently. And then just understanding foreign market policies and how we can access foreign markets forward is going to be one of the major risks that will be determining our capacity to grow the business as well. on a business management point of view, this is a very important thing for us. Our statutory levy gets generated from the collection mainly from paper potato bags. Okay. There are a significant number of new bagging options, new packing options, new delivery options happening. There's a significant revenue leakaging, and that to such an extent that it's actually now determining the future of the potato industry. We can only spend as much project funding as we receive. And I think it's very important that it needs to be clarified. The levy is not a revenue source to pay for, let's call it, services that are not directed into certain areas. It is physically the funding of the potato industry that's been used to feed back into the potato industry to enhance the business itself. If there's revenue leakage, people don't physically pay for that, people don't support it, they're basically killing their own economy over time. So we can only call on the industry, and it was there in the past. That's why we've got a statutory levy, but it was there in the past that there was a voluntary levy, and it didn't work. Okay, I think the potato industry now in South Africa is where it is because of the fact that we've managed to maintain the statutory levy. And I would ask the bigger industry to basically support us in terms of making sure that we collect that revenue. On the other end as well, we're also going to ask you to start contributing on ad hoc basis for us to be able to enhance the business, because you will also understand why certain of our farmers are in a position where they would want to try to avoid paying the levy, because the profitability of the potato industry is really going sideways. And then I think we all know about the roads infrastructure, the market conditions, and then also crop failure as a resulting in loss in income. I think that those discussions was basically one of the major reasons why we had the panel today. So what is happening in the potato industry at the moment? We already knew that the number of potato farmers were reducing. We already knew that the volumes per farmer has been increasing. But what's happening in this last few years is the fact that we are starting to stagnate in terms of the volumes produced. Okay? And especially in the last 2 or 3 years going towards this year, we are seeing farmers disinvesting from the potato industry themselves. What does it mean? It means that potatoes sales are not profitable anymore to maintain the type of cost structure that the farmers have. And I'll show you some of the slides to support that as well. What am I saying? Consumers, please dig deeper into your pockets and buy the potatoes at higher prices. Okay? It's not more expensive, it's more valuable. That is the point that needs to be made. A high quality potato as part of your basic foodstuff is still the cheapest, best source of food that you will be able to find in your life. We need to promote this. That is very important to us. Potatoes at 100 Rand a pocket for a consumer should be a bargain. Should not even be treated in a different way. Okay, how do we get to that price in terms of where the producer actually becomes profitable? Let's have a look at the numbers. Okay, so this is the current disparity that we have between the producer and the consumer price. This gap that is opening up there tells us that there's a miscommunication in information from producer to consumer. Okay, that is one of the biggest issues that we have at this stage. We need to close that gap. We need to bring the price on the consumer side closer to what the producer side is. That we can only do with proper information. Why do retailers increase their prices well beyond what their margins should be? Because last week they've bought an expensive pocket of potatoes. Today the price has dropped. They need to cover that risk. So if we can reduce the gap in the volatility between the producer and consumer price, we can bring that gap closer. We can bring more money to the industry without anybody taking a loss. Because everything that opens up in this gap ends up to be a physical loss of product at a certain point in stage in time. That is one thing that we need to understand. Okay, so where we are now. You won't be able to read the numbers, so I can tell you any number that's on that screen, but you can get the print afterwards, so it's not going to be the case. So, of the total cake of potato production, fertilizer, 2.3 million Rand. Seed, and this is now, remember, it's 21 estimated. This is where back solving from certain of the elements and also development of specific enterprise budgets that was supported through us. Fertilizer, 2.3 million Rand. Seed, 1.9 million. Chemicals, 1.4 million. Transport cost to markets, where's the logistic guys? 1.2 million. Okay? Other direct costs, 900 million. Seasonal labor, 784. Bag manufacturers, 569. Fuel, 369. That fuel is in-field fuel. It's not part of the transport cost. Market Agents Commission, guys. Market Agents Commission versus fertilizer, seed, chemicals. Okay, I don't want to come up for them, but I don't think they're fleecing us. Okay. Interest on working capital, repairs and maintenance, even those points are actually more expensive than this type of commission level. Look at where the Potato South Africa levy lies in this total number. 47.5 million rand comes to us to stimulate this size of economy. Okay, I took on the challenge. I'm not steering away from it, but I'm just asking you, we need to be able to support these producers. We need to be able to support the product itself. Okay, so if the total value of products produced up to market level is 10.8 billion rand, it means that the consumer value is 32 billion rand in terms of the bigger industry. Okay, this is not a Mickey Mouse business. It is one of the largest commodity groups in South Africa. And I would want to say what the major contributor to the internal South African economy, where the producer and the consumer, the final buyer of the product, is in country. And that is something we need to understand. This is something to uphold. So what's happening with the farmers, right? Real cost of fertilizer per bag versus the real potato price. Real cost of chemicals per bag versus the potato price. Sorry, I needed to enhance this conversation further. Okay, so just look at that. If you look at the rest of the situation, you will understand why farmers are starting to disinvest. Okay, we cannot afford to do that. Okay, the purpose of the potato industry business is to stimulate the growth of the economy. Okay, if the farmers are battling and they don't have funding available to be able to support this business, we need to look into the eyes of the rest of the industry to stimulate this business. Okay, so this is the big request, and this is the question that we're asking the industry forum, our members out here, and hopefully wherever the streaming goes, to start contributing not only in person, but in specific fundings. We have got a specific marketing project plan that is going forward. We can afford to pay a certain part of it. We need somebody to pick up the bill and support us in that. On the research side, we've got quite a number of collaboration projects. We've got quite a list of projects that we cannot afford to mobilize at this stage. We're asking the forum to start supporting us, funding us, helping us to get this industry to be where it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. Just before I open it for questions, just to give a bit of context, we currently use 43 kilograms per person potatoes in South Africa. The global average is 31.5 kilos, so we're still above average. Europe is on 88 kilos. Kazakhstan, Ukraine, those areas are on 160 kilos per head. So if Potato South Africa wants to take it from 43 to 50 kilos, it's well within the reach. We're still way below the guys that are really eating a lot of potatoes. But if we could take it up to 80 kilos, we will probably not have enough ground in South Africa to produce enough potatoes to supply ourselves. So I think it's a good project, Willie. So congratulations. Are there any questions to Willie before I put on the CFO? Gerard?
You're just asking with the transformation, is there companies that can tap into that? With the transformation that you're doing, can companies tap into that?
Yeah, no, the answer is clear. Yes, definitely. I think that's the reason why I said that the collaboration list can increase significantly. I think one of the major things, and we spoke about it, SARL is also on Grain SA's board. We're also looking at collaborating with other commodities as well to get what they call it a geoplaas, a complete farm view on everybody that we support. We can't only just stay with potatoes because there's other commodities as well. But definitely in that value chain that you saw there in that cake, we would like to get anybody to contribute in that space.
Yeah, valid question. Thank you, Willie, for answering that. The total PIDT income is around 50 million a year. And in the bigger picture, 50 million is not a lot of money. So if there's money burning your pocket, and I know there is, you know where to come.